Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first of your science little videos that I'm going to be doing for you. Before we left, we were working on Punnett squares. I am going to continue showing you guys Punnett squares, and I am going to give you a graded worksheet on this because honestly, they show up every year on the 8th grade assessment. So we want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with them. I'm going to be going through. Some of you guys are probably going to be like, hey, Mrs. Morgan, you already taught us this, in which case you're good to go. But I wanted to have an opportunity for everybody to be able to review. So we're looking here at practice question number 1. It says, let's say that in seals, the gene for the length of whiskers has 2 alleles. The dominant allele, big W, codes for long whiskers, and the recessive allele, little w, codes for short whiskers. So remember, dominant alleles are always shown by a capital letter, and recessive alleles are always shown by a little case letter. And the dominant masks the recessive. Okay, in order to have the recessive show up, you need to have 2 copies of that little letter, which we'll talk about as we get into the squares. But just a reminder to you of that. Now, I go down here and I now have what percentage of offspring would be expected to have short whiskers from the cross of 2 long-whiskered seals, one that is homozygous dominant and the other that is heterozygous. Now, I am doing this where I'm showing it to you guys with the colors because sometimes it makes it easier for people. When you do the worksheet, you are welcome to do the colors also if you want to. You're not required to. So, my first individual here, my blue one that is homozygous dominant. Homo means same, dominant means capital, which means I'm going to have somebody that is going to be 2 big W's here. My heterozygous, hetero means different. So in this case, it's 1 big letter and 1 little letter. Remember, when you have a little letter that looks like the capital letter, you either need to do it in cursive or you need to do it with a slash through it. Just please make sure that your teacher with terrible vision and old eyes can tell the difference between them. Now, as you recall, we go through and we take and we go across the row. So my blue letter here, I'm going to have the capital W go across both, and it's a big W that goes across both. And then for the parent that goes across the top, we actually go down the columns. So on this side, I'm going to have 2 big W's, and on this side, there's going to be a little W that goes into each box. Most people felt pretty confident in how to fill these in, but you can always repeat this video as many times as you need to make sure that you understand that you go across with one and down with the other. Now, genotype. Okay, genotype is an organism's genetic makeup. It is always going to be shown as just a weird, crazy 2-letter combination. Okay, it's not going to ever be any words. Now, there are always 3 possible genotypes. Big, 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 little, and little, little. Now remember, please, it doesn't matter the order. Big, little, and little, big mean the same thing. Okay? They are equivalent. I always write my capital letters first, but it doesn't matter. They are always going to be the same thing. Now, I go up and I look at my box, and I see how many boxes do I have with 2 capital W's in it. I have 1, 2 out of 4 boxes, which means that my big, big is 50%. Then I look over and I see that I have 1, 2 boxes that are big, little, which means that I have 50%. And I have 0 boxes that have little, little, which makes that 0%. And remember that this always adds up to 100%. If it does not, you need to go back and check your work. So now that we have the genotypes figured out, we can do the phenotype. Remember, the phenotype is an organism's physical appearance. This is what you see. Okay, blue eyes versus brown eyes. In this case, long versus short whiskers. Now we know from going up and looking at our paragraph that the dominant allele codes for long whiskers, and the recessive allele codes for short. Now, again, we always write the dominant allele first and the recessive second because there is a method to my madness as always. There are 2 ways that I can go about and figure this out. I can do the box counting method. Now, there are a couple ways to do it. I'm going to start with the capital letters. The only way that we get long is if or I shouldn't say that. There are 2 ways we can get long, whether it's big, big or big, little, which means that I need to go through and count the number of boxes that have a capital letter in it. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes with a capital letter in it. That means 100% of them are going to be long. I could also do the method where I count the number of boxes that have only 2 little letters in it. Some people prefer this because they're like Mrs. Morgan, it's less confusing. There's only one option. There are 0, I'm sorry, I can write. There are 0 boxes that have 2 little letters in it, which means it's 100% and 0. Again, this will add up always to 100%. Remember that I also taught you, in addition to the box counting method, there is the addition method, and that is if I take these 2, as long as they're always written in this order, it will always equal the long, or the, I'm sorry, not the long, but the dominant phenotype. And this one down here will always be equivalent to the recessive phenotype. So that is how we solve that problem. I will be going over some others and posting additional videos, but I just wanted to do this one initially for you. I also want to make sure that it is not too long for the platform to be able to handle it. I will see you guys soon in another video.